Chicago to Madison to Milwaukee and back to Chicago. From the moment it entered my mind, this was a mini bike tour that I knew I had to do. 4 days of biking that incorporates 3 major Midwest cities, over 24 trails of varying distances and surfaces, numerous small towns and opportunities to do some things I've never done and see some places where I've never been. The weather forecast was perfect, and there is no time like the present to hit the open road. This video highlights the route from Chicago to Madison. Subsequent videos cover the Madison to Milwaukee portion and the Milwaukee to Chicago leg of this mini bike tour. I'm at the start of the Illinois Prairie Path, 10 miles west of downtown Chicago. We're going on a little bike tour. We're going to head to Madison via Rock Cut State Park, and we're going to go on to Milwaukee. From Milwaukee, I'm going to go back to Chicago. My day one route was dictated by my desire to ride the official Grand Illinois Trail route from Chicago to Rockford. This route is not as direct as other routes that could be taken. However, it incorporates as many bike trails as possible, 2 of which I had never ridden. Furthermore, the final destination would be Rock Cut State Park, a place that I have never been and would provide me the opportunity to try camping while on a bike tour. The Grand Illinois Trail route begins heading west along the Illinois Prairie Path, which is conveniently located just a few miles from my home in Oak Park, Illinois. The Prairie Path was established in the 1960s on the former right-of-way of the Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin electric railroad line. It was one of the first rails-to-trails conversions and totals over 60 miles through Cook, DuPage, and Kane counties. The main stem of the Prairie Path travels directly west of Chicago through a series of suburbs including Maywood, Bellwood, Hillside, and Berkeley. The early miles of this trail run along a newly paved surface, with frequent crossings at streets with varying degrees of traffic. The surroundings are generally unremarkable with an industrial feel. So today's ride is almost entirely west. And as you might be able to hear, it's pretty windy, right in my face. So looks like it'll be 100 plus miles straight into a headwind. Great. After passing the Berkeley Water Tower, the Prairie Path passes under the I-294 expressway, and the trail changes to crushed limestone upon entering into the suburb of Elmhurst. At this point, the trail takes on a more wooded setting, while being lined with vintage-style light posts that add an ambience to the trail. Elmhurst gives way to Beloit Park, where you pass by the former factory where the chocolatey drink Ovaltine was produced until 1988. Right after the Ovaltine factory is the Beloit Park Historical Society Museum, which sits in a former Beloit Park train depot for the Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin rail line. Right after this museum is an intersection that provides an opportunity to get on the Great Western Trail, a trail that cuts a diagonal path towards Elgin, a mid-sized town situated on the Fox River, 40 miles west of Chicago. The Great Western Trail has a remote feel while passing through prairie land and along electric lines. Fellow riders become less frequent, and there is a distinct feel that you are passing beyond the immediate suburbs of Chicago. The trail is crushed limestone throughout this stretch and does not offer much in the way of shade. The Great Western Trail becomes the Elgin branch of the Illinois Prairie Path and eventually links up with the Fox River Trail after passing through South Elgin. I was relieved to get to the Fox River Trail as the surface is paved and the setting along the Fox River makes for one of the more scenic and enjoyable trails in the greater Chicagoland area. Shortly after reaching the Fox River Trail, the ride passes under the bridge to the Grand Victoria Casino Elgin. This riverboat-style casino was opened in 1994 and was one of a series of riverboat casinos that were opened along Illinois river towns in the 1990s. The Grand Victoria was a precursor for much of the development, revitalization, and public improvements that Elgin has seen over the past few decades. Immediately after passing the casino, the ride goes through a series of riverfront parks with green spaces, water features, and amenities that create an inviting atmosphere that might be unexpected for this river town that experienced urban decline in the second half of the 1990s. In addition to the riverwalk, there is a well-designed island that provides for a nice place to take a break from cycling. There are also a few lunch options in downtown Elgin, along with an impressive Art Deco building to check out that dominates the downtown skyline. Beyond Elgin, the Fox River Trail heads north in a wooded setting along the Fox River. A highlight of this stretch is passing through the town of East Dundee. This charming town has numerous shops, eateries, and amenities on the trail, including a visitor center and a former train depot that offers bathrooms, water, and even Illinois bicycle maps. Just north of East Dundee sits a series of industrial buildings on both sides of the Fox River. All of the buildings have similar brickwork, lined with windows and impressive detailing. Currently home to auto engineering, the buildings provide a glimpse into the former industrial uses along this riverway and are worth a closer look when passing by. Upon entering into McHenry County, the Fox River Trail becomes the Illinois Prairie Trail. At this point, the trail goes over the Fox River and into the town of Elgin. The McHenry County Prairie Trail travels directly north for about 25 miles through a series of northern Illinois towns and into Wisconsin. The early parts of the Prairie Trail runs along busy roads and is generally easy to follow while not having to interact with cars too often. Upon reaching downtown Crystal Lake, the bike path abruptly ends without much signage directing riders where to go. On this day, I decided to rely on my memory to get me linked back up with the trail. So the bike trail kind of ends when you get to Crystal Lake, and I wasn't using a map. I was just kind of winging it, and I ended up in this vast prairie land with kind of a stone trail, and I can't figure out how to get out of it. That was really annoying. I was stuck in this nature area. Couldn't find my way out. Yeah, it was really hilly, stone, gravel. You couldn't get good traction on. So I'm back onto the trail. After linking back up with the Prairie Trail, the trail goes through Stearns Woods. This stretch involves some steep descents with some turns that necessitate well-calibrated brakes. McHenry is a town that offers opportunities for a rest stop and was my stop for lunch on this day. You know, today is September 5th, and it's really, it's a summer turning to fall day. It's a little bit cool, sunny, cloudy, doesn't really know what it wants to be. The trail changes to crushed gravel in the small town of Ringwood. This portion of the trail runs through the Glacial Park Conservation Area. While the pedaling becomes more laborious due to the change in trail surface, the trail is in a much more natural setting than previous sections that ran along busy roads. A key feature of this conservation area is the meandering Nippersink Creek. This is a popular spot for kayakers, hikers, and the creek was also utilized to create the nearby Wonder Lake. After passing through the town of Richmond, the eastern end of the Hebron Trail meets the Prairie Trail. This occurs just steps from the Wisconsin border and was a fair amount north of my final destination of the day. So I've made it to the Hebron Trail. It's just 1/3 mile from the Wisconsin border behind me. The Hebron Trail, it doesn't look too great. It's just crushed gravel. So I traveled a pretty far way north to get to a crushed gravel trail. So we'll see. The Hebron Trail is an approximately 7-mile trail on crushed gravel that runs along the right-of-the-way of the former Kenosha Division rail line. This 72-mile route, known as the KD line, ran between 1861 and 1939 between Kenosha, Wisconsin and Rockford, Illinois. The early portion of the Hebron Trail meanders through the North Branch Conservation Area, which seems popular with nature lovers, birders, and prairie grass enthusiasts. On this day, the winds were strong and swirling, and the pedaling was laborious due to a gravel that was not well compacted. If you love windswept prairies on a crushed gravel trail, this is the trail for you. You'll love it. Beyond the conservation area, the trail is remote, passing through farmland and out of view of any roads. It should be noted, you could get run over by a farmer in these parts, so be careful when you're on the Hebron Trail. There are numerous spots designed for viewing the surrounding nature, adorned with benches and viewing platforms. Fittingly, the Hebron Trail ends in the town of Hebron, home of the 1952 state basketball champions. Despite an enrollment of less than 100, the Alden Hebron High School Green Giants won the championship in a time where all schools, regardless of size, were in the same conference. A real-life Hickory High School Hoosiers story.
Come on. No team of mine will ever run out of steam before its opponent. There's only 5 players we can afford to.
After the completion of the Hebron Trail, it was necessary to cycle west on the road that runs parallel to the Illinois-Wisconsin border. While not a trail, the road was generally void of cars and provided sweeping views of prairies and farmlands while passing over gently rolling hills. Different styles of farms of varying ages provided some added interest to this stretch. So I'm riding just south of the Illinois-Wisconsin border, basically parallel to it by less than a mile. And the roads, it's not too trafficked, almost no cars, really good looking farms sprinkled throughout. Decent amount of hills, but it's enjoyable riding right now. Sun's high in the sky, it's warm, so hard but good. The Long Prairie Trail appears somewhat randomly in a county line road that separates Boone and McHenry County. I made it to the Long Prairie Trail. It's kind of hard to find. Really had to go on some open roads and twists and turns. Looks like it's a rails to trails. There's a abandoned railway right behind me. It just kind of ends. And then the actual trail is back there. Like the Hebron Trail, this 12-mile trail also runs along the former right-of-way of the Kenosha Division rail line. Due to its remoteness, the trail does not appear to be used very regularly, and extensive clearing had just been done to the early portions of the trail. The riding surface changed regularly from stone to crushed gravel to dirt to paved. First mile and a half, the Long Prairie Trail was kind of a big stone, but in it's turned to paved. It's a lot nicer right now, nice and shaded. I came to realize that whatever I was riding on would not last for long, and change was right around the corner. And I spoke too soon. It's back to more of a dirtish, smooth, at least. The Long Prairie Trail runs through the small towns of Capron and Poplar Grove, and does not offer much in the way of refueling spots. As such, my dinner for the evening amounted to a couple gas station hot dogs. Departing the Long Prairie Trail prior to its actual terminus was necessary in the town of Caledonia. Getting to the end of the Long Prairie Trail where I have to get off to go to Rock Cut State Park in the town of Caledonia. What I could say about it is whatever the conditions are on the trail, the riding conditions, don't expect it to last for long. It's a mixture of paved and stone and dirt and just really an uneven trail. But, you know, it's a new trail. Try it out. Road riding was the only option in order to get to Rock Cut State Park, my final destination for the day. Rock Cut State Park is 10 miles north of Rockford and offers expansive grounds centered around a lake, with miles of trails and a fairly extensive campground. For a nightly fee of $15, I was able to set up my newly purchased bike camping equipment and get some rest after a 110-mile day of riding. So that's a wrap. Oak Park to Rock Cut State Park. It's a little over 110 miles. And tonight, I get to bike camp. So my first experience bike camping went pretty well. I slept decently. It was a bit cold, but I stayed warm. The second day of riding began with the breaking down of my small camp and taking the trails out of Rock State Park. So I'm just leaving Rock Cut State Park. That was a chilly 2.5 mile ride out of there. Sun's getting up in the sky, so should be warming up a bit, and the coldest part of the day is over. Maybe I could find some coffee. My immediate destination was the Stone Bridge Trail, which lies about 5 miles north of the state park. The Long Prairie Trail becomes the Stone Bridge Trail shortly after when I departed it the following day. Yet another Rails to Trails project along a railway from the mid-1800s, the Stone Bridge Trail runs for about 6 miles through Winnebago County, and the highlight of the trail is passing over the stone bridge over the scenic Kinnickinnick Creek. Built in 1882, the double-arched bridge is included on the National Register of Historic Places. The trail passes through the Stone Bridge and Roland Olson Forest Preserves, which provides for an enjoyable wooded setting. It is well maintained, extensively used, and offers frequent trail signage, which provides frequent context to the area in which you are riding. This trail was a great start to the day and a pleasure to ride. The Stonebridge Trail ends in the town of Roscoe, just steps away from the historic Auto Attractions Museum, which was sadly closed as I got to this point. This museum features countless famous cars, including ones from Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and Batman, along with Elvis memorabilia, a Hall of Presidents, and a wide variety of other interesting displays. While I did not get to experience it that day, I will someday. Road riding brought me into South Beloit, and an unceremonious crossing of the border into Wisconsin. It is at this point where the Rock River first appears and the town of Beloit gradually unfolds and displays all of the ways in which this industrial town has developed itself into a metropolis on the rise. This day was a Saturday and the farmers market was in full swing with vendors, music, and people out enjoying the beautiful day. The city has capitalized on its history as an industrial hub with a manufacturing base, while developing a modern economy centered on its location on the Rock River and fostering tech and service industries. The bridges, paths, and parks along the Rock River are well developed and filled with interesting installments to check out. Riverside Park is just north of downtown and offers great views of the Rock Rivers and winding paths. It is towns like Beloit that make a bike touring special. In a car, you'd pass by at 80 miles per hour. Biking through brings you through the heart of the city at a slow pace, enabling you to see the sights, hear the sounds, and interact with things and people that you would otherwise never experience.
Beloit is A+. Really, you could tell they're investing a lot in its infrastructure and its location on this river. It had a market going on downtown. Really a lot of amenities that are just new and well-maintained, and Beloit, just a great city.
The route between Beloit followed the Rock River north along Highway 51, also known as the Korean War Veterans Memorial Highway. While never ideal riding on a busy road, it offered plenty of room to ride on, with regular views of the Rock River. Crossing the Rock River into the town of Janesville presented an opportunity to get off of Highway 51 and enter into Monterey Park and the Peace Trail that runs through the park that lies adjacent to the Rock River. Similar to Beloit, downtown Janesville was hopping while the Saturday morning farmers market was in full swing and countless people were out enjoying the variety of amenities on both sides of the river. Janesville is another town that you only know of by seeing it on a map. However, there was a palpable sense of community on this morning and a variety of interesting buildings with impressive brick and stonework that contributed to a picturesque, historic downtown. The Ice Age Trail is a 1,200-mile meandering trail within the state of Wisconsin that runs through Janesville. It showcases features formed by the last ice age that ended over 10,000 years ago. A scenic portion of the Ice Age Trail can be ridden just north of downtown Janesville that takes the ride on a paved and wooded trail along the west side of the Rock River. It offers sweeping views of the river as it makes a 180-degree turn, forming the expansive Riverside Park.
You know, today just has really exceeded expectations. Both Janesville and Beloit are just cute, charming towns. They've had farmers markets going in each of them. I'm on this Ice Age Trail right now, the Stonebridge Trail. To start the day was excellent, and it's just turned into this gorgeous day. So I guess that's one thing I like about bike riding, is that you just never know what you're going to get, and sometimes you just fall into these unexpected surprises and pleasant rides, and it just really makes it all worth it. So 2 thumbs up to today.
The road along Riverside Park came to an abrupt end upon reaching the stairway up to the Devil's Staircase segment of the Ice Age Trail. This trail provided a direct route to where I needed to go to get out of Janesville, while running along the river, as opposed to the retracing of my route and going all the way around an 18-hole golf course. Despite clear indications that the Devil's Staircase was not conducive to biking, I lugged my fully loaded bike up the stairs to take advantage of the scenic shortcut along the Rock River.
So this Ice Age Trail, it's turned into a hiking trail, not a biking trail. So I thought it was a shortcut. Looked good on Google Maps, but it's getting me there in a shortcutty way. That will take longer, but yeah, just walk my bike through it. Raise your hand if you were dumb enough to think you could bike the Devil's Staircase segment of the Ice Age Trail.
While hikers that I encountered on the Devil's Staircase were likely remarking on what an idiot I was, I made my way north of Janesville through rural Wisconsin farmland towards the town of Stoughton. A highlight of these roads for me were the countless roadside stands selling all different types of produce, fruits, vegetables, and firewood, all on an honor system. While commonplace in country settings, they served as a curiosity for a city person like myself.
What a high degree of trust. They just have a dozen eggs sitting in there, $4. You want to buy them? Take the eggs. Leave the $4 in there. Country living. I like it.
Upon entering Stoughton, there is no mistaking that this is a town with Norwegian roots. Flags of Norway adorn the main street, along with murals that commemorate the founding of this town by Norwegian immigrants in the mid-1800s. There are also many nods to the Viking heritage shared by a large number of Stoughton residents. Similar to Janesville, there are a handful of buildings that serve as displays of old-world masonry with detailing that reflect the unparalleled workmanship that went into the construction of these buildings. Beyond Stoughton, the route passes by Lake Kagonsha State Park, while inching closer to my final destination of Madison. Madison comes into view when reaching the southern shores of Lake Monona. The road that runs around the lake is part of the Lake Loop Trail, a popular multi-use trail of about 12 miles that goes around Lake Monona on a series of trails and roads. Monona Way terminates at the access point for the Capital City Trail, which runs along John Nolan Drive. This is the entryway into Madison from the south and passes by Veterans Memorial Coliseum, home to the Wisconsin Badgers basketball team until 1998. The Capital City Trail offers great views of the Frank Lloyd Wright designed Monona Terrace, which hovers over the north shore of Lake Monona while sitting in the shadow of the Capitol Dome. Exiting the trail before reaching Monona Terrace brings a ride into downtown Madison, where the vibes of a hip college town become instantly recognizable, with people out and about and a plethora of bike lanes extending in all directions. State Street is the main pedestrian artery of Madison, connecting the University of Wisconsin campus and the Capitol building. Shops, restaurants, and bars line this stretch and was the ideal way to close out the Chicago to Madison stretch of this mini bike tour. And that's a wrap. 75 miles from Rock Cut State Park to Madison. Be sure to check out the accompanying videos to this one that feature the routes from Madison to Milwaukee and from Milwaukee to Chicago. These are great Midwestern rides that connect great Midwestern cities.